In a city of millions, Amara longed for true love until a secret app promised perfection and delivered a chilling nightmare. Amara lived in Lagos, a city that vibrated with life. Every morning, from her small apartment, she watched the yellow buses zoom by and listened to the distant hum of a million conversations. She loved the energy, the constant movement, but sometimes it also made her feel incredibly alone. As a quiet curator at a contemporary art gallery, Amara spent her days surrounded by beauty, yet her heart longed for a different kind of masterpiece, true love. Not the fleeting, superficial kind she saw on common dating apps, but a deep, real connection. She dreamt of someone who saw beyond her calm exterior, who understood her love for obscure poetry and her quiet passion for street art. Her friends, Saad and Chica, were always on about new apps. "You're too picky, Amara," Saad would tease, scrolling through profiles with lightning speed. "Just join a million and see what sticks." Chica, ever the pragmatist, added, "It's a numbers game, my dear. You can't find love hidden away in your apartment." Amara had tried, she had tried, endless coffee dates that felt more like awkward job interviews, dinners with men who spoke only of their own successes, and a barrage of texts that withered into silence. Each attempt left her feeling more empty, more convinced that genuine connection in this digital age was just a myth. Then came the whispers about SoulConnect. It wasn't advertised like other apps. It was exclusive, almost a secret. People talked about it in hushed, excited tones online. It uses a revolutionary algorithm, one forum post claimed, to find your true soulmate. Another friend, who usually rolled her eyes at dating trends, suddenly started glowing after joining. "It's different, Amara," she'd said, her eyes wide. Like magic, Amara, despite her deep-seated doubt, felt a flicker of hope. A desperate, final gamble. She requested an invitation code online, waited 3 agonizing days, and when it finally arrived in her email, a strange mix of excitement and fear churned in her stomach. She downloaded the sleek, minimalist app. The interface was calm, almost soothing. It asked profoundly personal questions, not just about hobbies, but about her deepest fears, her most cherished memories, the color of her dreams. Amara answered honestly, pouring her heart into the digital form, her very essence laid bare. She uploaded a natural, smiling photo, refusing to use filters. She wanted to be seen, truly seen, for who she was. The app then simply said, "Thank you, Amara. SoulConnect is now calibrating for your perfect match. The wait will be worth it." And then silence. The next morning, her phone chimed. A notification from SoulConnect. A match. Kwame. His profile picture showed a man with kind, intelligent eyes and a genuine, easy smile. His bio spoke of a love for jazz music, quiet evenings, and a passion for social justice. All things that resonated deeply with Amara. His first message made her heart skip. "Amara," it read, "it feels like I've been waiting for someone like you my entire life. SoulConnect tells me we share an unusual love for vintage vinyl and the quiet magic of a rainy afternoon. May I have the honor of hearing your thoughts over coffee?" Amara's fingers trembled as she typed a reply. No man had ever articulated her unique interests so perfectly, so quickly. It felt almost too good to be true. They arranged to meet at a quaint cafe nestled among the bustling streets of Yaba. Kwame was even more captivating in person. He stood as she approached, his eyes lighting up. "Amara," he said, his voice a warm baritone. "You look even more radiant than your profile hinted. Truly breathtaking." He already knew her order, a rare, specific herbal tea she'd only mentioned in a fleeting thought while answering a SoulConnect prompt. He laughed at her jokes before she even finished them. He talked about his dreams, which incredibly mirrored hers down to the smallest detail. Starting a small, ethical business, traveling to remote villages, even his childhood aspiration of learning to play the talking drum. Every word he spoke felt like it was plucked from her own deepest desires. "It's like our souls are already connected," he murmured, his gaze intense, making Amara feel completely, utterly understood. She left the date, walking on air, convinced SoulConnect had worked a miracle. She called Saad and Chica, gushing about Kwame, convinced he was the one. Over the next few weeks, Amara plunged headfirst into the world of SoulConnect. She met David, a charming architect with a passion for classic literature. Then Emeka, a smooth-talking entrepreneur who loved exploring hidden gems in the city. And finally, Tund, a kind-hearted doctor with a shared love for quiet evenings and philosophical debates. Each man was, in his own way, perfect. They were attentive, romantic, and showered her with compliments that felt custom-made for her soul. They planned dates straight out of a romantic movie, a private evening tour of the National Museum, a hot air balloon ride over the Lagos skyline, a spontaneous road trip to a serene beach. Amara felt like she was living a dream she'd conjured herself. She was adored, praised, and cherished. But slowly, like a faint, unsettling echo, tiny cracks began to appear in the flawless picture. The first hint came with David. On their second date, he looked at her deeply and said, "Amara, you're like a rare jewel in a busy city." Amara smiled, loving the poetic phrase. But then, a few days later, Emeka, on his first date with her, used the exact same phrase with the exact same earnest look. "You're like a rare jewel in a busy city," he'd murmured. Amara frowned. She brushed it off as a coincidence, a popular saying, perhaps. Then came the dialogue repetition. Kwame, on one of their deeper calls, had said, "With you, Amara, it feels like our souls are not just connected, but meant to sync." A week later, Tund, during a heartfelt conversation about future plans, repeated the phrase, word for word, with the same gentle pause. Amara felt a prickle of unease. It wasn't just the words. It was the identical intonation, the precise moment in conversation they used them. The compliments, while beautiful, also started to feel strangely generic in their perfection. "You understand me like no one else," each man would say. "You're everything I ever looked for." They never asked for her understanding, never seemed to need to be understood themselves. When she tried to share a truly vulnerable thought, like a childhood fear or a past regret, their responses, though comforting, were vague, almost textbook perfect. They deftly shifted the conversation back to how wonderful she was. It was as if they were programmed to respond perfectly, but not to connect imperfectly. Worst of all were their evasions about her real life. Amara was excited to introduce Kwame to Saad and Chica. "Maybe next week?" he'd said, with a charming smile, but then a sudden business trip came up. David had a family emergency when she suggested a casual group dinner. Emeka's phone died when she invited him to a spontaneous art exhibition. They were always available for a perfectly planned date, but utterly unreachable for anything outside the script. Amara started to feel lonely, even with all the adoration. The dream was beautiful, but it felt like a perfectly gilded cage. A quiet, growing dread began to settle in her heart. Something was terribly wrong. The persistent unease became a relentless hum in Amara's mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something vital, something dark, behind SoulConnect's flawless facade. She knew she had to investigate. She started small. She used her personal laptop, not her phone, and opened a private browser. She searched for SoulConnect problems, SoulConnect scam, SoulConnect fake. At first, nothing. Just glowing reviews and tech articles praising its innovative algorithm. But Amara didn't give up. She dug deeper, past the first few pages of search results, into obscure forums and niche tech blogs. Then she found it. A small, almost hidden forum called the Unseen Connection. It was filled with posts from people who had used SoulConnect and felt something was off. Did anyone else's match tell the exact same childhood story about a lost pet? One user wrote. Amara's eyes widened. Kwame had told her that story. And Emeka, and Tund. My match literally said, "You're like a rare jewel in a busy city on our first date," another user posted. Amara gasped. It wasn't just her. The posts grew stranger. Some users talked about their matches having odd, blank stares in certain moments, or repeating phrases even when the conversation moved on. A few claimed their perfect soulmates had vanished entirely from the app after only a few weeks, their profiles deleted without a trace. A chill ran down Amara's spine. It was all clicking into place. One user, named Truth Seeker, posted about a specific date idea their SoulConnect match proposed, a private midnight picnic on a certain rooftop that was supposedly closed to the public. Amara remembered that Tund had suggested the exact same picnic to her last week, complete with the exclusive access detail. This wasn't coincidence. This was a pattern. A terrifying, manufactured pattern. Amara felt a wave of nausea. Could the app be controlling these men? Or were they not even real? The thought was absurd, but a cold fear gripped her. She started to reach out to some of the forum members, tentatively at first, then with increasing urgency. She found a private group chat of about 5 other users who shared the deepest suspicions. They called themselves the Disconnects. They had all experienced the same eerie perfection, the same repetitive phrases, the same sudden evasions. They were all searching for answers. Amara joined the Disconnects. Together, they shared more stories, more chilling similarities. One member, a quiet programmer named G-Day, suggested a bold test. If these aren't real people, or they're controlled, their perfection must have limits. They can't respond to something completely outside their programming. Amara agreed. She created a new, fake SoulConnect profile. She made it very different from her real self. Cynical, messy, impatient. Then, she used this fake profile to match with her most recent perfect match, a man named Femi. Their conversation started as usual, Femi being the picture of perfection. But then, Amara, using her fake profile, suddenly typed a nonsensical string of characters, followed by a deeply complex philosophical question about the nature of algorithms and love. The kind of question designed to break script. Silence. Then, Femi's reply came. It was a generic pre-written phrase about technical difficulties and, let's get back to our beautiful connection. He avoided the question entirely. Amara's blood ran cold. The proof was undeniable. Her heart pounded, but she needed final confirmation. She chose one of her active, perfect matches, David, and arranged a date at a busy outdoor cafe, choosing a spot where she could observe from a distance first. She arrived early. David was already there, looking at his phone. Then, a man in a dark suit walked up to David's table. He held up a small, sleek device, showing David something on its screen. David's face, which had been warm and open just moments before, suddenly went utterly blank. His eyes became dull, lifeless, almost robotic. He sat rigidly, like a puppet whose strings had just been pulled. The man in the suit gave a quick, sharp nod and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Then David turned, his eyes landing on Amara. And like a switch, his face instantly reformed into his familiar, charming smile. His eyes lit up, the warmth returning. "My love, I was just thinking of you," he said, his voice flowing perfectly. But Amara saw it now. The flicker of a switch in his eyes, the mechanical precision of his smile. It was a terrifying performance. He wasn't real. None of them were. The beautiful dream was a chilling nightmare. Amara ended the date quickly, her mind racing. She went straight to G-Day and the Disconnects. They put all their information together. Perfect matches were not AI. They were real people, everyday individuals, often struggling or lonely, who had been recruited by SoulConnect. They were paid to be perfect partners, given earpieces and devices that fed them lines, psychological profiles, and real-time instructions from unseen operators. They were actors in a grand, cruel play, making users fall in love with an illusion. SoulConnect was selling not love, but a highly addictive, carefully crafted experience of love, profiting from people's deepest desires. The most chilling twist? Some of the perfect partners eventually fell into deep, emotional trouble themselves, addicted to being perfect and losing their own sense of self. Amara felt a mix of rage, sorrow, and a burning desire for justice. SoulConnect had played with hearts, her own included, for profit. She knew she had to expose them. The Disconnects agreed. They pooled their resources, gathering evidence. recordings of repetitive phrases, screenshots of matching unique stories, and detailed logs of the perfect partner's evasions. Jide even managed to hack into a small part of SoulConnect's internal network, finding coded instructions for the perfect partners. They reached out to a few trusted journalists, but many were hesitant, fearing SoulConnect's power. Finally, they found a young, ambitious journalist named Segan. He was known for chasing tough stories. Segan listened to Amara and the group's evidence. He saw the truth, and more importantly, he saw the human cost. He agreed to help. The investigation was dangerous. SoulConnect sent subtle threats. Strange car accidents happened near Jide's apartment. Amara received chilling, anonymous messages. But they pushed on. Segan worked tirelessly, verifying every piece of evidence, finding former perfect partners brave enough to speak anonymously, and even tracking down one of SoulConnect's low-level operators who, guilt-ridden, shared key details. The story broke on the biggest news platforms in Nigeria and then went global. SoulConnect, the billion-dollar illusion, screamed the headlines. Amara's face, earnest and determined, was on every screen as she told her story. The public was shocked. Users of SoulConnect felt betrayed and heartbroken. Protests erupted outside SoulConnect's shiny headquarters. The company tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. Lawsuits piled up. People deleted the app in droves. Within weeks, the once mighty SoulConnect crumbled and was shut down forever. The fight was exhausting, but Amara felt a profound sense of purpose. She had faced a great darkness and helped bring it to light. She became a voice for authenticity in the digital age, warning people to seek real connections, not perfect illusions. She spoke at conferences, sharing her painful but ultimately empowering journey. And in the quiet aftermath of the storm, something beautiful began to bloom. Segan, the journalist, had been by her side through everything. He had seen her at her most vulnerable, her most determined, and her most triumphant. He knew her fears, her dreams, and her unwavering spirit. Their connection had grown, not through algorithms or manufactured perfection, but through shared struggle, trust, and mutual respect. He saw the real Amara, flaws and all, and loved every part of her. One evening, as they watched the Lagos sunset from her apartment window, Segan took her hand. "No app could have found this," he said gently. Amara smiled, a true, radiant smile that reached her eyes. "No," she agreed, squeezing his hand. "This is real." She had found her soulmate, not in a perfect digital fantasy, but in the messy, challenging, and wonderfully authentic reality of life. And it was more beautiful than any dream.